250 years worth of crypto history in Travis's journey since 2017. If you know the math, it's a week in crypto is about a year in real world, right? So yeah, I think you've been doing this about 250 years. Yeah, NFTs is probably a couple days. So, so for those who don't know who Travis Wright is, I had the pleasure of meeting this gentleman back in 2012, and then we wrote a book together called Digital Sense in 2016. And then 5 years ago in July, you started the Bad Crypto podcast with Mr. Joe Khan.
Yeah, we did. Actually, it's about 5 years. It's going to happen in July 16th.
Right.
On July 16th, 2017, we were making a joke. I said, how long until we do the Joel and TheWeb3Show? He's like, call me, I got an idea. And I was like, is it the idea that I just said? So I said, yes, let's do a show. And the next 2 days later, we launched it. And 2 days later, we had like 2,000 listeners. Like, I was like, what? Massive action.
And I think, I think one of the interesting things that I wanted to bring up since then, because since 2020 you've minted over 1.5 million NFTs yourself, you and Joel. So you're probably one of the most prolific minters.
Joel is a myth mastermind.
Yeah. And you're a lord because you own a meter of land somewhere in Scotland, and you're a
sir
sir
because
because
I own a whole meter of land. I don't even know what a meter is. What's like that?
That's not a meter. That's a meter.
Okay, I don't even know. And this is 6 inches, right? I saw those monkeys around here. I don't know what's that.
I don't know. Look at one of those bananas. That'll help you figure out how long a meter is.
That's a foot.
That's a foot. So all kidding aside, so 2017, you guys do this show. Organically, it takes off. And we were down in Cayman, and like a month and a half after that, we did an event, and there was about a room smaller than this little area, but about 40 different people from all over. And it became abundantly apparent that like the tipping point of smart people really entering the space was there. And then 2018 happened, and you guys just kept doing shows. And I think that's relevant for today's context, because a lot of folks maybe got into this world through NFTs in the last 12 to 15 months, and now they're going, okay, what do I do, right? So what did you learn by doing the show? Like, what hindsight can you say that contextualizes where we are now?
I would say this, is that there is a very distinct parallel between 2018 and 19 and now. And what we noticed was the people who kept going were the ones who were building, right? And so it's like, it's not necessarily a bear market. You want to just reframe it as now it's time to build shit. And if you start building and taking your time and growing and paying attention, a lot of the fakers and the ones that are trying to make it are going to just like, they're not doing it the right thing. They're going to fade off. They're going to fade away. But the ones, the biggest businesses and the best communities are going to come from these darker times. That's what happened in 2017. And when I look at this right now, this seems to me like 1999, 2000 tech bubble, right? And from that, what did we see? We saw eBay pop out of that, Amazon roar out of that, right? Apple was from the 80s, but then they started really kicking it off again in the early 2000s. And then Google. So what I look at now is I say, who are the projects that are going to be here 3 to 5 years, 10 years from now, right? Not these little shit meme coins a lot of times, right? It's like, which ones have real projects? Which ones have real people leading them? Because a lot of these companies don't have real leadership behind them. That's one thing I love about On-Chain Monkeys and Meta Good, is they got an amazing team behind them, right? So that's how you know that you're riding a winner, is by who are the people leading it, and if you find the right ones, then you'll be able to win.
Yeah, I know you talk a lot about the length of a roadmap, and in the old days we would call that a business plan. Now it's a roadmap, it's a project, it's a community. But talk a little bit about what you've learned developing a roadmap. We'll get into some of the projects you're working on in a second, but just in general, like what advice do you have as people are constructing their roadmap or thinking about how to activate or tell the story through these kind of cycles?
Yeah. So what happens is you're launching, you want to get to that first launch, you want to be able to get some money to be able to build and grow and keep the thing going. And I think the projects that have the long-term, roadmap and plan and vision in place are the ones that are going to win. Now, Gary Vee has came out and said that he's got a 4-decade roadmap, which to me is like, wow, that's huge. My project has a 7-year roadmap, right? And that 7 years might turn into a much longer one, depending on what's going on. And so I think the projects that are cognizant about where they want to go, building that right community, and have the community in mind. What's going to impact them? How are we helping them? And how are you able to collaborate with maybe even other communities, right? And those that have those in place, that have the right utility and are moving forward and doing something besides just a cool collectible. We saw that earlier, like, yeah, these collectible phases, this is NFT, V0, right? And then as we're moving into this next wave of it, it's really what do they do? They can unlock experiences.
I'm pulling out my collectible. I'm not doing something else. I'm pulling out my collectible for you.
What are you doing over here, Chris Snook?
Well,
I don't know you that well.
Keep talking, because I want to show. So like you guys started in the NFT space. Your first kind of experiment was IP that is a collectible.
No, actually our first experiment was we met Patricia Workhalter who launched POAP. Anybody here ever seen POAPs yet? POAP, Proof of Attendance Protocol. We met him at ETH Denver back in 2019 when they were launching that thing. And we said, well, this would be really cool to be able to do with our podcast. So we created something called Proof of Listening. So if you listen to our podcast, we would give you a special week midway through or sometime during the show, and you can go and claim that POAP. And what we learned was over time was that POAP, ETH started getting ridiculous gas fees. Right about in May 2020, the gas fees started getting stupid, so we stopped doing POAPs. But we did one for Ron Paul when he came on our show, one of Metallic was on our show, and then when we would meet people at certain events, we would do them. Now we're actually using POAPs for Twitter spaces. So if you actually come to our Twitter space, you can actually get a POAP, and those POAPs, the more you collect, the more you're going to be able to level up items within our community project. Yeah.
So POAPs and high gas fees that led you to wax at that time.
Led us to wax in a way where, well, we were thinking about it. Joel said, hey, what if we do something called like crypto buddies? And we create like cool people in crypto, and then we were thinking about it, and I was like, yeah, I don't really like calling them buddies, that sounds weird. And then we decided to do virtual blockchain week. So we did a 30-day sprint to do virtual blockchain week in 30 days from idea to launch, and then we had all the
Was that when COVID hit or right before?
Right after COVID hit, we realized there was no more in-person events, so we said, let's do virtual blockchain week, and we beat everybody on
I cracked up because I had done a lot of events, and you guys called me up and you're like, hey, we're doing this thing. I'm like, oh, that's awesome. And then you're like, the website goes to this and that. And I'm like, oh, they're going to have so much fun with the headache of doing an event in 30 days.
Oh my
but
God.
It was a hell of an event.
It was ridiculous.
It was awesome.
I almost hated everyone on my team by the end of that time.
They probably didn't hate you at all. They probably didn't hate you at all.
And so after that, one of the things we saw was Tops. Tops launched on Wax, and they did this pack mechanism, which is really cool. Because that is exactly the kind of thing that we want to do. And so what we did was we actually created a thing called Blockchain Heroes. And Blockchain Heroes was launched in late Q2 of 2020, when the total NFT marketplace was less than $10 million all worldwide in all chains. And we actually, so that's one. And we actually did a Kickstarter where we sold an NFT, and they bought that, and then you could claim this, and then we would send it out after we got it printed. So we got these things printed at we got it printed in the same place that Magic the Gathering did theirs, right? So then then we launched our NFT series after we sold the Kickstarter, launched that, and then later we were able to deliver these to them. And what's really cool about it is there's a QR code in them. You click the QR code and you're able to claim NFTs that are rare that don't exist anywhere else online. And so we're kind of.
And I think the total market at NFTs at that level was like 19 million for the year, right? And like we're talking about less than 2.5 years ago, 3 years ago. So I mean, to think it did over 10 billion this year, and now we're in this correction, whatever. In context,
20-something billion.
It's counting secondary markets. It was like 20, right? So you go, it went from 19 to 132 million to like 20 billion. And now we're like, everybody's saying it's going to end. It's like, come on. Like,
well, when people say that to me, they go, what do you think about NFTs? They're a fad. And I'm like, is ownership a fad?
Right.
Is digital ownership a fad? No. Digital ownership will proliferate every area of our lives. We just don't know it yet, right? When you think about it, this is all the real estate we're looking at. Everywhere we look, we see real estate. Those are going to be tokenized, right? And then you have the NFT this is my floor. Right?
So let's talk about, there's a couple projects you're actively working on and advising now. One's your like big vision baby, which I want to save for the end, but back to 2017, one of the original projects, right around the same time as CryptoKitties.
Yeah, CryptoKitties.
That's
what happened. CryptoKitties happened, and then we said, this is hilarious. You mean a JPEG can have sex with another JPEG and have a baby JPEG? I was like, whoa.
Wait a minute.
genius. And so once we got over the laughter, but that was 2017, and right around that time there was another project called Crypto Bots. Has anybody here heard Crypto Bots? Anybody here hold a Crypto Bot? Crypto Bot holder right here.
OG's in the house.
OG in the house, yeah. So Crypto Bots came out in 2017, and it's a project that I'm working with. I got some of them back there. What they're doing is they're taking their version 1, the classic Crypto Bots, and they're going to be dropping a 3D upgrade chip to everyone who holds that in August. So if you have one of those, then that's going to be able to level up to a 3D version that'll end up being AR compatible, right? You'll be able to follow you around, and also it turns into a hero box that you can actually play. So it was the very first play-to-earn game ever, 2017. It's so early, it doesn't even have royalties attached to it, right? That's how early the original crypto box was.
They hadn't learned that part yet.
Yeah, they didn't know that was a thing. And so now that's set up, and they're launching a land sale, or they launched another thing. And they're so freaking cute, I think they should be cartoons. And really, the crypto bot seems to me to be, that should be a cartoon, right?
I think they're pretty cool looking.
I mean, if I was a kid now, because I've been to Ukraine 7 times. One of the times I was there's this grocery store called ATX. And ATX is like sort of like an Aldi's. It's like one of those secondary or third level grocery stores. And what they did was they did these things with these robots. They called it ATX Arena, and you would go and you would buy a pack for $1. There would be a robot in it that was AR, and you could fight your robot versus my robot. And then if I won, my robot gets stronger and your robot dies. And you got to go and buy a new robot. What happened in the grocery store was it increased year-over-year sales by 11.3% because all these kids were playing with the robots on the tables with the AR battles, right? And so I saw that, that is freaking genius. And then seeing what CryptoBots is doing and some of these things, there's just some parallels there. So yeah, just as an FYI, you can scan that QR code and check it out.
Yeah, it's a good segue. So I want to talk about integrating technologies into NFTs because you're doing some really cool stuff with Ancient Wisdom. So yeah, I want you to talk about what's happening with Ancient Wisdom, and then we'll talk a little bit about some of the things. I see Singularity folks here, Twin Protocol folks here, so we'll talk about some of the things that you're envisioning and that we're going to integrate into that. But what's the purpose behind Ancient Wisdom as a platform and as a thing? Because there's a special guest here too that kind of inspired it. So I'll let you, Brandon, and then we'll go back and forth.
Well, so one of our good friends, Mr. Oz Sultan, who is right here. Mr. Oz Sultan, what is up, good sir? So about a year ago, we found out that he had stage 3 cancer. And he is fighting, and he is with us today still, kicking his ass, kicking cancer's ass. It is some love right there. And so we thought, what can we do to help people like him? And so, I don't know if you know this or not, but he, in Blockchain Heroes, he was the wizard. Remember, can you hold this for me?
Yeah.
I want to see if I got the wizard.
I got 2 mics now, watch out.
One of these yet, do you?
Yeah, you got to give him his card.
I got to see where the wizard is, so scroll through all these various colorful ones here.
That's a zoom cube right
There we
there.
go. Oh, there's Genesis right there. That's the Satoshi Nakamoto character right there.
Oh, I should have grabbed that one. I grabbed you as Joel.
You got the wrong
Damn
one.
it.
That was a dumbass maneuver.
It was.
All right, and is it in here? Is it one of the last ones in here? Oh, there it is. Check it out. He's the wizard.
Yeah, there he is.
The wizard.
Look at that.
There you go, brother
There you
man.
go. The wizard.
The wizard. He was the wizard in that.
So the Blockchain Hero IP, inspired by the wizard getting ill, creates a new IP.
Well, yeah, we thought we created Blockchain Heroes in 2020, and we thought, who are the coolest, people in blockchain who's actually helped make this place better? So we launched Blockchain Heroes on Wax. We launched 4 different series of Blockchain Heroes now. There's 160 total characters, heroes and villains. Villains like, the Federal Reserve Bank, the IRS, all the centralization people, right? So there's a bunch of different villains. And so we're talking about, how can we help Oz? Well, maybe he's Oz Sultan. He's a wizard and he's a sultan, so he's like a king wizard guy. Maybe we create a bunch of wizards.
That's better than a Sir Lord. I'm just saying.
That is true. If you're like the Sultan of Oz, that's really good. And so we thought maybe we could do something to help him out, and it's evolved into this thing that can help out a whole bunch of people, not only Oz. And so what we're doing is we're gamifying mindfulness. We're gamifying general fundamental well-being to help eliminate the blah blah in your head. Right? Everybody's got that blah blah in their head that tells you you're not good enough. You can't make it. Oh, you're not. You shouldn't try that. Oh no, you should just sit this one out. Oh, you can't do this. You're going to embarrass yourself. Oh, it's going to be horrible. So it keeps people in their comfort zone. And so what we're doing is really it's evolved. It turned into soul shamans. And then Soul Shamans evolved because Solana sucks. I don't know if you guys know this or not. shitty. And just my not financial advice. Don't sue me, Solana.
There goes that sponsorship.
Well, we were launching it on Solana, and then they got hacked, and then they had that double spend issue, then they got DDoS, and then I was like, we can't launch this on that, right? So get your shit together, Solana. All I'm gonna say. And so we said, let's launch it on Ethereum or something else, but it's evolved into something much bigger, ancient wisdom. So we're actually gamifying all of this and putting wisdom on the blockchain. And as you level up your shamans, you get a new wisdom drop to you, and you can do some cool stuff along the way.
We have examples of them in the back that people can see on camera.
That one is an example right here. The other one I got here late because shipping issues. And this right here is Bob Marley. You guys might recognize Bob Marley. He is a change maker. He's a historical change maker. So what we're doing is, if you get one of each of our 7 types of shamans, the archetypes, you get like the water, the fire, the earth, the wood, metal, air, or ether. You get one of those, each one of those. You get a custom version of your favorite person throughout the history of time. We're going to create it like this. And then what's cool is, in the lower right corner, where the logo is going to be an NFC chip. And in that NFC chip, you're actually going to be able to go boop. And every day it's going to give you some wisdom. It's going to give you an affirmation or a mantra, telling you how great you are, just kind of pepping you up, or giving you a symbol or some sort of ancient piece of wisdom that you can go on a rabbit hole around. And then the more often you do that, then you're actually able to level up your NFTs in our series. So basically, the more wisdom you get from from working with a deal, you get them to level up your NFTs to get more wisdom. And then what's cool is 50% of all of our proceeds are going into a DAO to help people like us to do good stuff in the world, to help grow that fund to then go do massive good stuff with it.